what was one of the first things he did in his like photography career that kind of threw you guys for a little bit of a curveball?
For me, when he started going to comedy clubs.
So I showed up with his DVD, and he literally looks at me and he goes, "This is way more important than this college. You got your scholarship back."
Wow.
Yeah.
And with your line of work, you could bring your child anywhere.
I'm not bringing my child to like a party.
There you go.
Yeah, you know,
We're in.
We're in. That's it.
Guys, very important guest. If you guys are not watching this on YouTube and you're listening to this on any streaming platform, we have Kirill's mother in the building.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yes,
I'm
well,
glad
thank
to
you
be
for
here.
having him.
That's
Yeah.
for sure.
That's what I tell her all the time.
Yes.
And I
me.
absolutely agree that it was a great thing that we've done.
I agree too. You gave birth to a legend, you know?
Yes, we did. And tomorrow is actually our wedding anniversary, and at least this is justification of a good thing.
Oh, really?
That happened to us.
What wedding
Tomorrow
anniversary?
is-
And how many years?
42.
Wow, 42
It's a long
years.
time.
We started young.
How old?
I was 19, going on 20. Dad just turned 20.
But in Russia at
now,
that time, it was
now
normal.
you know our age. Yes, at that time, at those years, it was quite a common thing for a girl to get married when she is like third year in college or university.
Why? Because if they don't get married if they get married a little too old, they're frowned upon, right? They're looked at as like no bad goods.
Yeah, like an old avocado.
Like an old maid stuff. But again,
It means like you're the weakest link, basically, right?
It's like nobody wanted you. It's like the last kid in kickball.
Isn't it true though?
I mean, in those years, maybe in my years, not necessarily that way already, but before me, yes, my times still common, not necessarily
Not-
a bad thing to do later.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
But I guess it's
Yeah.
cool because you could become a grandmother at like 40.
That's what we did
That's
to
what-
your
that's what you guys were
grandparents.
hoping, right?
44, 45.
That's a great time to be a grandmother. That
Yeah,
age.
that's very
I would
good.
have to be a grandfather in 4 years.
You could still
If
be
I was
a
on
dad.
my mom's timeline, I would have an 18-year-old child right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's never too late too. You could
Yes,
have it
there is a
late
too
in
late.
No,
Have you-
it's
Estee?
okay. You can,
some
you
point-
Can have, some of my friends had children at 45 and
They didn't come out a
later.
little.
No. Everything's
Okay.
fine. Yeah. So
Everything is okay.
we live longer. Actually, it's not a bad thing to have a bigger age difference between your kids and yourself, because when you get older, your kids are still young and can take care of you better.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
There you go. Very good point you made.
No, that's you guys have your own investments. You're worried about your own future.
Thank you.
You can live near me.
Wow. You know, yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah,
that's a separate
we'll
talk.
talk.
I'm gonna work
We'll
hard enough to make
talk.
sure my mom and dad have the best care.
Okay. All right.
But I might
You'll
I
see.
just might not be the one wiping your butt. That's it.
That's okay.
That's-
I probably don't want you to
Yeah,
do
so
that
there you go, see?
either.
You'll be taken care.
Yeah.
You'll have your own wing.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, just it's recorded, right?
Yes,
Right.
this is we will run this
Yeah,
back. This
okay.
footage for sure. This is on file.
Okay.
How old were you when you had him? You were
22.
22 years old.
Turned out great.
See, people were doing big things. 22 years old, big commitments.
I was still doing my master's in college, university, and I already had him at
You
the
see?
time.
You see, people from your generation were taking on a lot of stress and made it seem like it was nothing.
Probably at this time we did not think much about it. It just not that it just happened. It happens. You just deal with that. Actually, I came to check up the day before he was born to the hospital, and the doctor said, you probably should stay. And I said, no. Tomorrow I have my final exam, and my college and the hospital were right to each other. So I said, I'll make sure I'll take all my stuff for the hospital to my exam. I'll go through my exam, and then I'll walk to you guys and I'll admit myself. So she's like, I don't think so. So I convinced her. So we went home and we were cooking dinner. And a couple of hours later, we went back to the hospital because my water broke, and I never had a chance to pass that exam, to go through exam on time. I had to take extension after he was born, and take exam later.
Wow. You see?
But the plan was to do that sequence.
You're always interrupting things.
I am definitely always
You're always
interrupting.
interrupting things.
He
I
couldn't
stay
wait.
quiet. I stay quiet.
Stay
I was
quiet.
Half a day would have, but no regrets anyway. Everything was fine. I did get my degree on time anyway.
Oh,
so
really? Okay, good.
it didn't matter. So
That's crazy. You see, people back then were taking
Also
on.
kept the babies. Right, like at this generation, right? Like if a girl gets pregnant before like 24, like most of the girls that I've met, especially in New York, who are trying to worry about their career, right? They just would abort the baby instantly, right?
Yeah,
It
over
was
here,
like a
they're-
different culture.
Over
Was
here,
it just
but you see, they're like, I will have the career and I'll have the baby. But people over here are having issues to just go to the grocery store and pick up their food.
yeah?
That's
Because
how, that's
I'm
how,
selfish.
that's how soft
I'm
everybody
very
became.
selfish. I don't want to raise anything else because it'll probably disappoint me.
Yeah, but you didn't disappoint her.
no,
I'm sure I've
no,
disappointed my mom
No, you did
plenty of
disappoint.
times.
Obviously,
I can
you're a
handle it.
person. Everybody's a person. I'm sure we disappointed you too.
Yeah, but I didn't have a
more
choice.
than once. But
More than
but you just do the best
can.
you can. And
Right.
I've seen you with a dog. When your dog doesn't want to eat, and you do this airplane thing, things we did for you when you didn't want to eat, like just eat. I think you
man.
would be great dad. You just
I
don't
would be a
know
great
that.
dad. I'm not
Yeah.
disagreeing with that. See, there's my dad. Oh, you'd be a great dad. I mean, I'd be a great dad, but I just,
He doesn't want the stress that comes with it.
yeah, it seems like a lot of stress.
He just doesn't. He's afraid of the stress.
Obviously,
because
there are a lot of
because you
stress
have to
when-
worry about me the rest of my life.
Be? And then I
You.
will worry about your kids more than about you.
right? Are you worried about me the rest of your life? Right.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want that
It doesn't
responsibility.
stop.
Like Georgie's gonna be dead in 10 years, and then that'll be very sad. I will cry a lot, but it's not the rest of my life.
So you don't like committing to things that might stress you out, basically.
I freak out signing more than a 1-year lease.
Yeah.
When they're like, "Do you want to do 2 years, 3 years?" You're like, "No. I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 years."
It's okay.
You
listen.
start thinking differently when you have that
I agree.
responsibility.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
some
because
of
I
the
have to. I
stress-
step up.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
step
you
up if that happened.
Right.
Obviously, you can't be like, "Oh, I had a kid. Let me think the same way I used to." I just don't want to put myself in a position to have the kid.
I hear you, because there's other things that you'd rather commit yourself to, right? That's your whole thing. You
Yeah.
rather grow the brand.
A child would be so
No.
in the way right now. What would it do for me? What would it
It
possibly?
would be enjoying sitting right here playing with the toys while we're doing whatever we're doing
What are you
right,
kidding
right
me,
now.
Ma? Who's like
no.
making-
It's easier than you think. It's easy, especially.
Well, I was a
now,
model child.
Yes, especially nowadays when everything at your fingertips. We
Correct.
didn't have those luxuries of diapers, and we had to change
Right.
a baby
Or
every
having an app, yeah.
every
You really had to
15
love your
minutes.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
So
Yeah.
you guys have so many conveniences we did not
Ever have.
idea
Right.
about at all. So I think, and with your line of work, you could bring your child anywhere.
No, I'm not bringing my child to like a party.
Well,
My
you
line
don't
of
do
You
work-
don't
parties
have
as
to
much
do
anymore.
like, yeah,
right?
exactly.
You party. You're
I'm gonna
party
have the child strapped to my chest as I pour
while you're
champagne.
doing
Yeah.
while you're doing photography. You're doing a
Yeah,
little photography.
that's terrible for my back, for my bank account, for what? I could still disappoint them.
It's expensive, of course.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, but look at your parents,
And
right?
think about
They were
when
ma-
you raising children during my generation versus now. Everyone has some sort of mental problem because they're so oversaturated with information and disinformation, right? It's just almost like too much, right? At least when we were growing up, it was like handpicked for us. And even if it might have been some propaganda and some not, but at least it was like we could consume the world a little bit easier.
You can digest a little.
Right. As a
little
kid,
easier,
you
yeah.
still got to have your innocence. I don't know what a child would. How innocent could a kid be until they get their first iPhone, and then they're like, "What the fuck goes on in the world?"
I was talking to actually one of my friends today in the morning. That is a big, scary thing, is the access that the young
Right.
kids have to the internet. And the internet, it's not limited to anybody, meaning that any information that's out there is going to be like presented to you at the drop of a dime, and it's not going to like pick its victim. It's just you're going. It doesn't matter how old you are or how old you're not. You're just basically going to read through it, and however you digest it is whatever you take from it, which is bad. because a lot of people have perspectives they never experienced before.
But you
Right?
realize it, so you take measures to
Yeah, but I don't
avoid
wanna
and prevent certain
I know, but I
things.
don't wanna
Not
do that.
everything, but you could help your kid to stay innocent.
I don't want to be a
Longer,
helicopter
not
parent. I don't want to be a
exposed
helicopter
longer.
parent to be like, you don't get your iPad on fucking Friday nights.
Yeah,
Like,
but your parents did that for you.
we didn't have an iPad.
Yeah,
we
but you guys
didn't
TV,
have, but
right?
we
You
had
would cut the
something.
TV
The
off.
TV was so bad anyways growing up.
Okay, but we still limited certain things that we thought could be
Sleepovers.
harmful.
What was the time that you were scared that Kirill was getting into something where you were like, all right, let's cut this off, like enough? Was there ever a time that he ever was like, I don't know, maybe like parties that he was going to, or maybe something like a friend he would hang out with, and you were like, you know what, no good?
You know what, surprisingly or not, when he was growing up in a house, in a family, there was not a single friend where I would say bad influence and don't hang out with this person.
That's good.
Or that person. Somehow, maybe because of his personality,
He gravitated
he
to the normal
gravitated
people.
to people like him,
That's good.
I guess. And he was able to, I even remember when he was maybe 11, 12, he liked to draw, he liked to paint. Boys would come, neighborhood boys would come, and they would play loud games, whatever they were. And all of a sudden they would quiet it. And you see, he gave everybody paper and pencils or whatever, paint, and they were all drawing something.
He was an art teacher.
He was, in playground also, kids, we came to America, no English. And we came to Washington Heights area where English was also very limited. It was more Spanish
Yeah.
speaking population. And like
you guys lived in Washington Heights in the beginning?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
wow.
From the streets,
5
man.
minutes, 10 minutes
Tough.
after we walked, he had friends already.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's very good at, he's
Yeah.
social. He's very social. He's always had that since he was a young kid, for sure.
Yeah.
He's socially acclimated.
We felt
being.
sometimes, because we came, we had nothing. And we've seen boys and girls, whatever, they with their parents or babysitters, they would go and they would buy them hot dog and a soda, and we couldn't afford to spend $1 in the park
At that time,
at
yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
So because we say we could buy a package of hot dogs and maybe a loaf of that Wonder bread or generic one for $1 and feed the whole family, right?
that
So
time,
we had
yeah.
to convince him that this piece of bread and maybe water is much better, much healthier
At home.
At home, yeah.
But growing up,
or
we
even
have
in
McDonald's at home.
or even in a
Which
park,
is
or
true.
even in the park.
that's
But it
not-
was hard
But it
to
was.
Yeah, I
hard work to
get
convince
McDonald's at
them.
home, you know.
Right. Yeah.
That's okay.
We would make homemade whatever Russian call cotletas and shape them in form of the
And put 'em on white
hamburger.
bread.
But cotletas are a hamburger, technically.
And would put it in the freezer and take it out from the freezer so he sees that it's like a
I
hamburger.
love that.
And same thing with many other things.
Listen, and you see, that's
We
why,
actually taught him how to lie
Yeah.
because of the cotleta.
Marketing.
because
They
of
teach me how to
those
sell.
things. Yeah,
Well, you see,
because
that's why you always tell me, you're like, what's the point of buying a root hat when you could just buy Assholes Live Forever hat? It's the same thing. Same thing as the cotleta and the burger.
No. McDonald's has it figured out. There's a reason they're so successful. There's a difference why there's a million people out the door of my grandma's house. Right? McDonald's makes a really good burger. My grandma makes a cotleta. They're not the same thing.
Could be a really good cotleta
That
that a lot of
doesn't-
people never had.
No.
Yep.
It's like, don't...
and they're better and they're healthy. That's for sure.
I don't know if they're
that's
healthy.
that's
like
for
deep
sure.
fried.
Yeah. But
How can you tell? How can you say that?
But-
if people,
It's two different things.
But
You
if
can't
people,
compare it.
you never know. If you cook it a certain way and everybody in Washington Heights has a cotleta, you never know. Maybe they'll love it just as much.
Yeah, but it just isn't a burger.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
completely new thing.
Listen.
yeah,
They
but
just lied to me.
I love that,
that's why I said
had to- you had to do what you had to do.
he tells me that we were the ones who taught him how to lie, and we did it out of whatever because we couldn't afford
Necessity.
something. It was necessary.
Same.
Right? Yeah, he was sometimes still saying.
But there's
okay,
good lying and there's bad lying. That's
I
good
can't
lying.
imagine. We came like in 2 months later was his birthday. He was turning 6, and we got some like Nintendo game or PlayStations.
No, you got
I
me a
don't yeah,
Nintendo.
or Nintendo after 2 months being in America, but that's because I couldn't go and buy the hot dog, but I would rather give him something that he'll enjoy more because the food we cook was better anyway.
But I also think that the food was healthier that you're cooking
Of
at
course,
home, right?
of
Instead of
course,
feeding
yeah.
him some garbage, processed food that you're getting from a bunch of these places.
We made sure we have whatever is necessary.
They
like-
literally smoked cigarettes in the basement
So
in
what?
Brooklyn.
It's okay.
I'm
It-
just saying. It wasn't the
nobody-
healthiest.
It's not
It
like
was-
they're smoking
it was-
cigarettes and blowing the smoke in
no,
your face.
Yeah, they
yeah,
literally
and
were.
nobody talked
They
at that
literally
time.
hung out in the laundry room as the grandma smoked cigarettes.
And at that
They're like,
time,
go eat that healthy
Yeah.
catletta.
and at that time, nobody talked about secondary smoking.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Listen,
You're right.
back then.
You're right. When you're right, when you're right, you're right. But that's
Yeah, but that was not by. That was because of lack of information at that time. It wasn't because they were forcefully trying to do that. Nowadays, if you're smoking in front of your kids, then you're just clearly being not nice. You know, back
That-
then.
Dad still smokes in front of
in enclosed kind of space. If you do it outside, maybe, but indoors. And at that time, a lot of people were smoking indoors.
And nobody knew
It was not,
any better.
Nobody
nothing-
cared
nobody
because
cared.
it wasn't like if you were like, "Oh, my child," you'd be like, "Who started caring about kids'
No,
feelings in the
Kids
No.
were.
90s?"
I was smoking my first cigarette. I smoked in Ukraine. I picked it up off the ground because obviously nobody older would ever give it to me. We would pick up the little
Butts?
buds off the ground and we would light them back up. I was about like 7 years old.
That explains a lot.
In Ukraine, we were running around smoking these cigarettes, and my mom called me one time at my grandma's, and she said that if I ever pick this up again, I won't have anything to pick it up with.
Those were such. You can't talk to children like that anymore.
Right, but it doesn't mean we didn't care. We did care
No, I
about
care
the
enough to
feelings
abuse you.
and
Yeah, but you see
No,
now you're doing the whole like American thing.
to control
No,
a
in a good
little
way.
bit, to
It's a
in a
great
good
thing
way.
that- it's
in
a great
good
thing that
way.
we did.
To
our parents-
protect because
yeah.
it's also a protection.
And I think it
as well.
hardened. It gave us a little bit of like a coat. Like we became
Yeah.
a little harder instead of being soft. We would be like, "Oh my God, she's gonna cut my arm off." But in reality, we're obviously my mom loves me. She's just protecting me.
Yeah, listen, my friend's son said at the playground in school, they were running and his glasses got on the ground and somebody stepped on them and broke and he said, "Oh, my dad's gonna kill me." Guess what? He was not new to the school. For years they had social services visiting them
Wow.
on
Because
a
then my
regular
dad's gonna kill me?
basis because he said
It's so free.
my glasses, somebody stepped on my glasses,
So
my
soft.
dad is gonna kill me. It's like a brand new expensive pair of glasses.
In Russia or Ukraine, the teachers would be like, "Good."
They'd be like, I guess you can't see for a year.
Yep. Sorry, sucks, buddy. And I love that. In my
Well,
opinion,
your ears work.
I think tough love is way. I think it gears you up as a human being better for life.
it has to be somewhat balanced. It's hard to
Yes.
find, but you want to protect your child, but at the same time you want the child to be independent. Because my thing in life was, I don't know if how long I will be around. Tomorrow things can happen, something goes wrong. I want to have a sense and belief that my kids can survive
Alone.
without us being around. If we're here for a long time, wonderful. But life, and we know the situations,
I agree with
right?
you.
I'd rather know that my son, my daughter are equipped with something that could allow them to make decisions and survive.
It's very intelligent to think that way, in my opinion. You know, and I think that that's the right way to do
if
it.
I execute it in the right way or not, I don't know.
Nah,
But
he
I-
seems
I-
fine.
I-
He's pretty independent.
But
He's pretty independent.
intentions were there.
I think Kirill is
and
like
I
ultra
tried,
independent.
yeah.
I think he's like he
No,
loved.
no, I can't be alone.
Nah, bro.
It's two different things.
It's two different things, though.
things.
You-
Yeah, but
you-
you can make decision. Like say you made decision.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Esther
moving
doesn't
here.
make decisions.
Like, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah,
She's talking about the fact
I'm
that
not
you're
talking
capable
to
of
be
making your own
a
decisions.
loner or be without
Yeah.
in company. That's different thing. But you can make things happen for yourself and people around you, people you taking on the responsibility for. And,
She's right.
Yeah.
100%. Listen.
Independently. You were telling me when you moved out and you would call me for advice and you say, "Mom, I'm going to a store, I need to buy, what should I buy, this and that?" And I may say,
I used to do that.
yes. And my response could be, "You don't need to buy anything because you have this or that." And he said, no, I'm not asking you whether I should buy. The decision of buying is made. I'm just asking you for advice. Should I buy this or should I buy that? So
You see, he was already-
I'm a negotiator. I'm like, no. Don't
Yeah.
stand between me and my happiness. Just help me figure out which is going to make me happy.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Right, and you see, I think I think it works because I personally think in the recent years, especially, I feel like America is very good at being scared of random things, and I think that they shelter their kids way too much.
We
And
were
I
just
think-
talking about Halloween.
Yeah,
When's the last time you saw trick-or-treaters?
I don't remember.
We still get in our
In
area,
Jersey?
but in Jersey, but not
died
as
down, right?
not as many. Mostly just next door kids, say who knows us. But I remember the times when Kirill was growing up, and then
Did
Alana.
you didn't even babysit us. We just went out on our own.
Yep.
At certain age, right? Obviously, at certain age, you were going. Just boys and girls of the neighborhood would get meet at somebody's house, and they'll just start walking. They crash in somebody's house. They'll sort through the candy, separating what they're gonna eat later and what could go to the community, back to
Yeah.
to community.
And you see,
Yeah.
and this brings me back to the point that how can like a young adult or a teenager make his own or her own decisions when the parents are walking them by their hand all the way into their like 20s? You know, I personally
Yeah.
think that you kind of have to like fail here and there, or something has to happen. There has to be some kind of pushback where you have to kind of have some bad experiences plus good ones, and then you as a young adult you start learning, okay, I shouldn't do this, and I
Right.
should do that. And I think
the problem is the generation grew up with my mom's my best friend, and I grew up terrified, right? And I'm not saying that's the
I think the best friends should be after their
after
their 20s.
after I leave.
Yes, correct.
We
After
became
you leave,
friends.
correct.
But before that, I was terrified of my parents. Not, I mean, like genuine. But
You
I,
fear
I
consequence.
I had a fear.
Right.
Right. But then when you hear like, oh my God, my like 16-year-old girl is like, my mom's my best friend. I'm like, you have no. There's no one to. Where? Who are you? How are you making decisions if they're not based on fear?
Because you're not fearing
If
the
you're not
consequence.
scared of
Yeah,
your mom,
correct.
and scared of your dad, then every decision you make is like, I can do whatever I want.
Well, I don't know because my life experience same as yours.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't wanna be
so
friends with you at
I don't
16.
know. Maybe it would have been better if parents were friends
No.
right from the beginning.
No.
I don't know that.
No.
I don't know because
way.
again, my mom's life was like that. My life was like that. You experienced
Same.
same, and maybe it's wrong. Maybe
It's
it
totally
should
wrong.
have been.
I think it's wrong. I think
different.
it's
Every
wrong to
person
be-
I've
yeah.
met that was best friends with their mom
It does not look good
is not
out here.
It's
Yeah.
not in a great. It's
They're not in a good
great
spot.
place.
In
Yeah.
what sense? In what sense?
Like at
that they-
16, when they're like, my mom's
No,
my
no,
best
no.
friend. You're
No,
In
like,
a
no,
sense
no,
of
I get it.
independence, in the
A
sense
sense
of
of independence.
finances, in a sense of direction in life, in a sense of purpose, in a sense of a lot of things. Because what ends up happening is, unfortunately, in this life, there are a few people that do what they love and make a living out of it and make a great life for themselves. But that could also be, that could be misleading, because sometimes you have to do things you hate to get what you need to then do things that you like.
Yeah.
And
Right, and it's too
unfortunately,
nurturing.
and I feel like when people are just following their emotions, not their logic, because they're like, oh, I feel this, I feel that. Like, if you're going off of feelings 24/7, you're not going to accomplish anything. Unfortunately, that's just my take on things.
But I still sometimes, when I think about my life and how I was with my children, I miss a little bit more of that, like softness. We were soft, we were giving things, but like Kirill said, he had fear, and it's not.
yeah, but that's okay. That was
it's-
good.
For
I'm
me,
literally not-
I'm thinking
to
I
me-
missed that. Not to have that
failure
fear.
to disappoint is not always a bad, like being scared to disappoint. Yes, that makes you a people pleaser, probably, right? Which I definitely am. But it also, at the same time, you guys let me pursue my art, but you also came with, they're like, look, if you're going to do it, we're at least going to show you the real side of it, right? Where I had to work on my portfolio. I had to literally, it wasn't just, hey, you're going to get by on just whatever you have. You made me work for my art, and I got my full scholarship, and then I made the decision to walk away and blah, 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 whatever. But I think a lot of people just could be supportive, but then they're like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, my daughter's going to blah, 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 right? And a lot of people fail because no one tells them that it's work.
No,
It's
we
work
always
to be an
wanted-
artist.
We always, but work
Even if
in
it- 'cause
anything.
it comes easy.
Yeah, even if you have tremendous talent,
Right, but
it's
talent is
not
often
enough.
confused
Yeah, it's not enough, right?
for
You
effort.
need to, yeah, exactly. We always were kind of do your best, your abilities. I remember coming to your school, one high school, I think it was already, and your counselor, I said something, and your counselor turned to you, Kirill, and she said, obviously your mom wants you to have only A's. And I said, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I would love to for him to have what he's able to. If he's able to get all A's, which I believe he is, yes, then the end result would be A's. But I'm not saying A's. I'm saying do up to your ability. Right? That's what I want.
Which is fair.
Yeah, that's how my approach was always. And both Kirill and Alana joke about me, about how, let's say, would come home and I say, oh, did you have a test? Yes, I had. How did you do? 98. How come? Great, but how come not 100, right? And the next time they come, it's 100 and great. And
How come it's not 105?
No extra
how
credit.
come there was no extra credit? Something like that. And they come back to me with that, like, Mom, you were tough. But that was not
But
necessarily
unfortunately,
my
but that's
fault.
what excels. That
That's
toughness
just
excels
A
you.
little extra. We
Yeah.
were talking the other day with somebody, and I was saying to stand out doesn't take tremendous effort. Just
No.
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Extra effort.
Which differentiates you from somebody who doesn't put that a little extra step.
But you see what you just said? That's what they're trying to dismantle from the society now, because now they're saying there shouldn't be a trophy system. There shouldn't be somebody that gives you a high five if you're doing better or if you're doing extra. To them, it's all about
How are you making everyone else
as long
feel?
as you're feeling okay. And that to me is okay. I don't mind it in a sense
I
of like
disagree. You
you
should
said.
not
I
feel
want
okay.
people. I don't want. I'm not necessarily saying I want people to sit at home and cry and be depressed. I don't want that.
Yes, I do.
But because what he's saying is basically it weeds out the weakest link, which honestly, in my opinion, that's what I would want also.
But it's not the weakest link. It's like, how are you supposed to experience true highs if you never have true lows?
True.
Right? So it's like, if you're always being patted on the back, at some point, where are you going to get your heroin from, right? Your rush from? Like, what are you going to... So you need to experience everything in life. It can't just be... Why would you want to just erase failure? That means there's no progress. What's the
Correct.
point of living if you're always going to be
Stagnant.
treated equally?
Yeah.
Like, I want to earn that number one spot. And
Yeah.
and
100%.
It's okay that I'm not there, but I'm going to try.
But I'm gonna shoot for it.
right?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like,
I agree.
A couple of things I want to say. When I was flying on a flight, I was watching a movie, and young men, parents, and they were always saying how talented, how great he is, until he realized, and he was like emerging writer or something, and until he realized his writing was not any good, but parents were encouraging him that he is good, so he will excel more, he'll spend more time, he'll get better. But they didn't tell him that. They were just saying, oh, you're the best.
Clapping
You
for
were
him
clapping
24/7,
for
yeah.
anything. And it was cute and probably necessary when you're 7, 8, 9, 10, but now you're talking about 20 years old, 21 years old. It's great to give them that positive
But you're misleading.
feel, but it could be misleading. And now he's in the real world outside of your household, and somebody comes and gives him a reality check. Right?
And now
you're
could
30
be-
years old, and now what do you do
and
with
you
that?
start
it's
crying
hard.
at work, and they look at you. It's like, dude, I'd rather have gone through my building my shell at home,
Correct.
and learning how to handle criticism and pushing
Correct.
myself, and because I can cry at home. Imagine being 27 and being like, I had a mental episode at work because my boss said I sucked at something, right?
You
You're
need to
like,
be
"What?"
correct. You need to handle the harsh truth and criticism at a young age, because I was just having this conversation in the morning with one of my best friends, because he was asking me how I would handle a situation because he saw a young kid get yelled at by another young kid's mom because he hit the girl, and they were like 5, 6 years old, and he was basically asking me how would I handle it if I was the parent of the person that got hit, and how would I handle it if I was the person the kid was doing the hitting. So we were having this conversation, and I said that it's better to prepare them at a young age, because imagine they go through something like this at 20 or mid 20s and they
Yep.
throw a fiasco, and then all of a sudden you go to a therapist, you go to this, you go to that, and you become a lost soul because you have absolutely nothing
You
to look
haven't-
back at.
Nature
Yeah.
does that. It's called chicken pox.
Yeah.
If you get it when you're young, you're good. You get it when you're old, it could kill you.
Correct.
It's the whole point. Nature makes you, beats you up, right? Nature, it's so
It's part of the process.
it's part of the process,
Yeah.
right? It weaks it, it gets rid of the weak in every other animal species, right?
Correct.
Animals eat the other young. It's like, that's why you never see, I always say this, you never see animals, right? Because nature doesn't allow them to be saved, right? No one's reproducing with that. You're like, how rare have you been like, oh my God, there's an elephant with Down syndrome? It's different. Nature is cruel, but
No,
fair.
yeah, we don't want to be that
Cruel?
nature cruel, yeah.
I'm not
and,
disagreeing
and
with you,
but I'm
Everybody,
that extreme. But I'm
everybody
saying-
is different, and everybody brings
but I'm
completely
saying, but
different
nature-
things
There's
to
exceptions.
life.
But no one
Yes,
cries
yes,
over when nature does it, right? Because they understand that it's just a process of life, right? We're all just, so it's
But
you
another
need to be
point of-
bullied. You just
yeah.
need to be bullied.
But as you're saying that you need to be bullied, however, when you were growing up and it was not instilled, it was something in your nature. Let's say if you were better at something than some of your friends and you knew it, but you let them, let's say bicycle, right, riding. And
I was
you
better at bicycling than a
Yeah,
lot of people.
you were better than other people and you knew it. But you knew that other kid would be upset if he misses or loses. You let that kid go first and come to the finish line before you.
Yeah, because
On
I'm a
purpose.
different,
On
I'm a
purpose.
different, I'm a
Hold on,
different
I'm
kind
explaining
of
why-
egomaniac.
But that just shows right there how tough he actually is,
Right.
right? Because
He dra-
if you are the best at what you do, and you don't need to prove yourself, you let those people grow and you let them in. But that shows wisdom and
Exactly.
toughness,
It's
which is
also
great.
an egomaniacal thing, right? To
That's
walk
true, too.
around and be like, I'm not even going to compete because I'm
boring.
that good.
Yeah.
Right? Also, I never has to ever know how good I am or bad.
It's the same thing, right? I cut hair. I'm a barber, right?
We couldn't tell.
If someone
I needed that.
if someone else is a barber and let's say I know that they're not doing a good job, I'm not going to go behind their back and just constantly be like, oh, this guy sucks. He's no good. I'll just be like, listen, the proof is in the pudding. I know my value. If we ever step toe to toe to compare our work, I don't need to compete because I'm very confident in what I do. But that comes with the fact that you have to go through those times where you were really bad and people were telling you like, you suck, you messed my hair up, you did this. But you need to take that criticism and actually learn from it.
Yeah.
But most people don't want to do that. And
Well, look, it's everywhere. Everywhere in life, people give up, right? Because they can't handle the barrier of entry is you're gonna suck, right? That's why most people don't do stand-up comedy, right? Most people don't do many jobs that are high risk, high reward because it's a lot of rejection, right? To be a good actor, you have to handle, nothing's handed to you.
no, and it shouldn't be.
Rejection should be a tool that you learn in school, just like home ec and how many pull-ups can you do, right? They should teach you rejection. It would probably teach men how to respect women more, right? To be able to handle a no.
I agree.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just all forms of rejection
Yes.
would probably be a great class.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And rejection should be like you said. Failure is a big process of nature, and the more you fail, the better you get at something.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. And I think it's great. And I think it's amazing how we were raised. Honestly, I'm very thankful for the fact that.
Oh my God, so thankful.
Yeah, when I was every time I tell like people in the shop, especially if, like when I'm back in Brooklyn and I see some of the younger guys and they kind of complain, like the teenagers, they're like, oh, it's kind of annoying. My parents don't let me do it. I said, dude, that's great. I said, it's very good that your parents are tough on you. I said, you're going to actually grow up to be a decent human being. And then, what's funny? We'll have a difference of like 3 years. And the kid next to him, he'll be like, yeah, he's right. He's like, I used to hate it, but now I'm like so happy that my dad did this and my mom did that. Obviously, there's extreme measures.
Yeah.
Some parents could take it overboard. Some people get physical.
Right.
Sometimes it
Yes,
could get a little too much. But like you said, there has to be a happy middle,
Yeah.
right?
So on behalf of all parents, your parents and other kids'
Yeah.
parents of
Immigrants.
of immigrants,
It's mainly
yes,
an immigrant
of
thing. American parents don't.
your
Ugh.
other friends, I thank you guys for thanking us.
Oh, you guys are the best.
Even though, like again, I'm saying I do have obviously regrets, and I would
Yeah, but you
maybe
guys-
I would make things differently. Some things different, not everything,
Right,
but some things
but
differently.
you didn't-
Now,
you didn't raise us in a vacuum, right? You raised us
No.
while mid-20s in America, no money, barely
While
knows
chasing a profession.
no language, very little knowledge of the language, foreign country, and still chasing a profession.
A big profession too, not like just like some like
both
oh,
engineering.
yeah,
Since
like I'm gonna
Gothic
be a
English-
cashier or something like that. Like you
Right.
were really studying, reading, like, and not only that. Imagine coming in your late 20s to learn a different language and raise the kids.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah, like what was
we
it like?
did have some foundation because again, not for nothing. Yes, we immigrated from Soviet Union, but we did have solid education, and we did have some theoretical exposure to foreign languages. We didn't have
Yeah, man, it's different.
opportunities
I know
to
gracias
exercise
and
to
de nada.
talk.
Doesn't mean I can live in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
No, we were great. We were thinking since God the time is measured in the same.
You said we had
The
exposure to some
calendar.
French terms.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's completely different. Like to think about if I was 27, 28 years old, what I was
28,
doing, 28, I would not be able to leave a country, learn a language, raise a family, start over, find a job.
Crazy.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm exhausted after walking Georgie every morning.
And you see, that's the thing, right? And it's funny
And
because
also be frugal, right? At the same time, you get to see you land in America. What you've like dreamed about, capital, like everything around you, like, oh my God, there's
Money grow
Gucci,
tree.
there's Gucci, there's Prada, like everything you've thought about America, you're like, holy shit, and you're like, oh, by the way, you have no money, right?
By the way.
So by the way, you get to see all this,
and
you
also there's a
landed.
bum down the street that might rob you.
right. So it was crazy.
Well,
Like, what was it like coming to America?
You learn how to live. We came with family of 6, right? At that time, we got lucky. Soviet Union government allowed us to bring $150 per person. So we came to America
With how much?
With
$900.
$900, right? Luckily, Dad found a job to be busboy in a small restaurant in Manhattan, and it was great because he was paid if he had like lunch shift, $15
Oh, wow.
for the shift. Not an hour for the shift.
Oh, for the shift?
If it was night, like dinner shift, it was $20. Sometimes he worked both shifts, so it means $35
And no
a
tip.
day. There were some tips, but
So
he
Dad
was a
came home-
busboy. But he was coming home sometimes with 15, with 20, sometimes 35, like $50
Just cash.
a day, cash, and he was fat. The owner fed
Oh,
him like
fed,
sal-
not fat. Okay,
not
fed.
fat. Yeah,
They fed
yeah,
him.
they fed.
Okay. I was like, and he was
Lick his
fat.
apple.
I was like,
No,
wait, the dad was fat?
no, and he was eating there, right? Like left
Did he bring
whatever,
food home?
pasta, salad, obviously nothing.
Was he
fancy.
allowed to
and
bring
then
food home?
he could bring home that pasta with mushrooms or
where he learned how to
salad,
cook.
which was big help to us as well. I was working as a babysitter or elderly care person while we were picking up language.
This is
while
1990?
It was 1990.
How
while
much money
we
are
were-
you making a week
When?
to combined income
When?
between you? When you
Now?
get there.
Or then?
Not now.
Then? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember in 1991 or 1992, I remember just recently looking at our tax return forms because I needed to do some employment verification for a new job, and I saw our total combined income was 11,000
In 1992?
92.
11
Oh,
grand.
wow. I was born
Allow-
93.
$11,000 gross between Dad and I.
What do you think that would translate into now income if you were to like do those numbers?
Yeah,
I
like
have
in
no-
2023, I
don't
want to
know.
know how little that is.
I don't know.
Well, look it up for inflation. Let's
Yeah,
just
take
look
a
it
look.
up.
You guys look up. Yeah,
Wow, that's
I
interesting.
I don't know. I didn't.
So
calculate.
combined, you guys made 11,000 for the year for two people.
Inflation.
So to
calculator.
support the family, right? Because we also supported Kirill, obviously, but we
Alana was
also
born?
came.
Alana-
No, Alana was not yet in the picture, but we had our parents too.
And you had to help the parents.
We
so.
had to somewhat help the parents.
How old
as
were the parents
well.
at that time 50s?
No, yes, they were 50s, but they came to America at this age, so there was no let's say my mom was professional, Alex's parents are professionals, but there was no way. My mom was speech pathologist. There is no way she
To
would have found
translate that here.
translated here.
Yeah.
She did mitzvahs. She did free help to kids, immigrants' kids, when there was somebody who needed some speech therapies services.
Right.
She could do it for free.
Yeah.
Right?
24 grand a year.
For both?
Right now.
For
For
both?
the 11,000
No.
combined is 24 grand now.
Really?
No way.
No
I just
way.
looked it up, the inflation calculator.
Are you sure?
11,000
30
in-
years, 30 years.
In 11
only,
night-
No,
only
come
50
on, dude.
only
Dude, I'm on the
100%. No, no.
$24,000
no.
in September 2023 equals 11,000 in 1992.
No, stop. Are you sure it's the correct?
The average inflation
Multiply
rate
by
is
10,
the average
I would
inflation
say,
rate
at
is
least.
2.5% per year. The total inflation
way
rate
more.
has been 120%. Yeah, 11 times
No.
it becomes 24,000.
Okay.
do you
Yeah,
mean?
it's.
I gotta look
it's,
into this.
Yeah, I
I'm
like,
not sure
yeah,
if this
yeah,
calculator is
take a look-
correct.
Take a look
That
into
means it
that,
only
but
doubled. It should have
you
at least
could- you
quadrupled.
prob- I,
What are you
I
talking
think you
about?
would
How
probably
did
20
no-
times, at least 20
What?
times more.
You think 11,000 is going to be 220 grand? Right
Not
now?
220, but at
You
least
guys are
it should be at
crazy.
least 50 each.
No, it
So it
isn't.
should be like 100 combined.
11,000 combined.
Back then, at this point, it should be close
Well,
to like
50
80,000.
8 times? You think 8 times?
100%.
McDonald's, everything
Since
else.
COVID, it like
Bro,
tripled.
are you kidding
Or like
me?
not triple, but like
Are
double.
you- Arizona iced tea is still $1, right? Like it hasn't been that crazy.
Yeah,
Do you
but that's because
understand
the
that if you're
quality of
saying
the
if
mer-
you're saying 10 times, right? If you're saying 11 grand should be 100 grand, do you
Yeah.
understand a Snickers bar would have gone from 50 cents to $5 then? It didn't. A Snickers bar is still 99 cents.
Yeah, but that's because they've managed to figure out ways to. Pay
But not
cheaper
not
for
if
the-
it's good went by 10 times. Your dollar didn't.
What
lose.
about eggs? Eggs went up like.
We would have to get rid of the penny if it managed to
And
move
look at a
10
pizza
times.
pie. Like a pizza pie is expensive.
Oh my
right?
god! But not 10 times as expensive. It didn't go from 10.
mean,
to,
dude,
No, but let me
it didn't
tell
go from
you.
$10 to 100.
Kirusha, let me
I
tell
mean,
you.
pizza pie used to be like $5 at
It's
that
not
time,
50.
and now it's like 30.
That's
a lot.
6 times.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
A pizza
bro.
pie was never $5.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure it was
Dollar
like 6
slice.
at
I'm
that
not doing
year.
this. I'm not. They'd get rid of the penny at this rate. The penny would be useless.
I mean, penny technically is useless.
it is.
Look, we were able still, right? And then we got professional job, not very high paid, but we did in 2.5 years later,
What house?
almost three, a little bit before 3 years, we bought the house.
Wow.
You can't do that now.
With
Imagine you're making
$24,000,
$24,000.
you
What
would
was the
not be
interest
able
rate at
to.
that time?
8%.
8%? That's high still.
It was 8%. We
That's
were
still high.
still relatively new to the country. We really didn't have credit history. Not the bad. We didn't have bad credit history. We just didn't have a credit history. We hardly had any credit cards. Maybe one. We did not buy the car financing it. We bought one from police auction
auction,
for $1,000, not knowing what exactly.
How do you get
it's going to
$1,000
be.
together if you're only making 11 grand?
No, she
Totally.
said 3 years later.
No, the
Yeah.
car we got soon, but I mean,
Little
So there's
cash,
also
a little.
little-
Girish, we were
don't-
frugal.
you
Like I
don't
said,
try to
when
become-
we
Were you
were
running any
when-
hustles, Ma? Were you running any
No,
side
we-
hustles?
no, we did
selling
not.
shit,
No,
but you know,
tell
making.
us.
You
No,
could tell
I
nothing.
can tell you, but we didn't. We didn't, and that worked. That worked at that restaurant
Restaurant?
almost like 7 days a
Dude.
week.
Wow.
How about garbage
And
night?
Garbage nights.
Do you remember garbage nights?
Garbage
Did you ever do
nights.
garbage nights?
No, I don't think I was around for that.
Dude, garbage nights. This was the coolest thing about being poor in America. It was just this. At least
We
it
were
felt
laughing.
fun. We
We were
loved it.
laughing.
So Tuesday nights was garbage nights, right?
Whatever.
Whatever in Brooklyn,
whatever
right?
it
Would be
was.
garbage night. We would all hop in a car or someone's car.
Or we walked. No,
Or
we would
walked.
not.
I
We
don't
would
remember.
not
Whatever.
have a car yet.
You would go to the
We
nicer
wa- we
neighborhoods where
walked.
the Italian neighborhoods were, and they'd be throwing out like couches, right? Then garbage night, they'd be like laying it all out on the curb.
Oh, yeah.
And we would go and
TV
scoop
set.
up TVs. You'd decorate your whole house with garbage night.
Dishes.
Wow.
Dishes
Now they have
set.
Facebook Market.
Yeah, but back then it was like you
Yeah,
were like
Facebook Marketplace
Dude,
pretty
remember?
much the same
Didn't-
thing.
Didn't
That
Dad steal
was-
a couch by accident?
We don't know still. We don't know. We saw the couch, love seat on a curb. It was my husband and my sister's husband. They saw it, and my aunt just came to America a few months after we came, and they saw this love seat, so they just took it. But then we started. It was such a beautiful for us at that time.
Of course.
It looked so clean and so beautiful. Later on, we were thinking, what if it wasn't a garbage? What if
just
somebody
moving.
was moving and they were just bringing stuff down the stairs on the streets? But it was too late.
Now that you
picked
tell
it
me,
up.
I do remember garbage nights. You know why? Because right before we immigrated, 9/11 happened. So my dad was in the process of doing the paperwork for us because he came here first. And since 9/11 happened, it postponed the process. So we had to wait like 2 or 3 years. And while we were waiting, my cousins that immigrated to Canada, their immigration failed completely because we don't know what happened. They ended up coming back to Kiev because they're like, oh, we got kicked out. They never told us the reason. We don't know why, but both of them were fighters. So I'm guessing that they probably got into a fight with somebody in the bar. And immigration in Canada is they're very hardcore.
Strict,
they're
yeah.
very strict. They're like, we don't need this in our country. Scoot out of here. So I guess they kicked them out, and they came back and they were like, they're telling us stories. They were like, oh my God, if you guys do make it to America, it's crazy over there. People will throw out a palisos. People will throw out a crazy, crazy couch, a TV. They're such consumers. They're crazy. You can build a whole house. And I'm just like picturing all this, because in Ukraine, nobody will
Nothing
even
else.
give you an extra
Yeah.
bulочка.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to give you a bublik, if
Yeah.
anything, So I'm over here already thinking that I'm going to build a house like it's Home Alone. Little did I know, we showed up to Ocean Parkway. It was very depressing over there. So, but it's true. I mean,
you reminded me the story when we were still in Russia and some family came to visit their relatives or friends in America, and then they came back and they were telling us what they observed, what they witnessed. And I was very skeptical. I did not really believe things. 3 things I remember. One thing, I did not understand the concept of advertisement of flyers from supermarkets. When people will receive that in the mail and they'll know of which supermarket runs what sale on whatever. Such a foreign concept. Okay, you're lucky just to go to store and see the food and get it, right? Why somebody is trying to sell it for cheaper? Absolutely didn't understand.
to you, it almost sounds like
to
somebody's
me,
trying
like-
to get you on something.
Yeah, you're
right?
like, why would-
It's like second one was it after the rain, umbrellas were on the ground. People, after the rain stopped, people were throwing away umbrellas. That umbrellas were on the streets of Manhattan and Brooklyn. People would just throw them away. So how? And the third one, which made me declare this woman a liar in my head, was that the kids in the families they stayed in would not eat bananas if they had brown spots on the skin. And that was like, no way. So she's making it, I don't know why she's doing it, but it's a made up story. Little that we know, when we came to America, and Kirill would wake up in the middle of the night asking Mama, can I have a banana? Then maybe 3-4 months later, he would eat banana with the brown spots on the skin. And I was very embarrassed to say, oh, this woman was telling the truth.
Because
I just didn't understand.
America makes you soft.
You see, but
I just didn't
America makes you
understand.
not appreciate things because we overconsume. And to us, it's like, oh, who
Everything's
cares?
disposable.
It's fine. Bananas are like 90
Yeah.
cents. We'll get another batch.
19 cents or
That's how
whatever
Val
was,
lives.
yeah.
Throws everything away.
Yeah, right. I actually eat
I
all my
think- I
rotten
think it's
bananas
the reverse,
onto this
yeah.
day.
Do you eat the skin?
What, the actual banana skin?
Yeah, it's it. You don't.
My man, first of all, who eats the banana skin?
I do. I'm a true
What?
believer in
you eat the
consumption.
actual banana skin that you peel off?
Yeah.
Let's demonstrate.
No,
It's like
Come on.
sushi. You chop it up.
Let's
and create a roll.
demonstrate it.
You just chop it
Can you
up.
show us?
I don't want to show you. I don't have a banana right now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just telling you.
There's
In-
absolutely
You're
no way.
wasteful.
Yeah. In Russia, obviously, banana was very
It's a luxury.
rare, yeah, luxury. And if I may, my aunt was playing tricks with Kirill. He was little. If she comes and she'll find bananas, she'll bring it to him because he was the youngest among the family.
The golden child.
And then
Clearly.
she'll hide one from him. And then she'll say, Kirill, you ate the banana? Yes, I ate banana. I said, okay, now let me squeeze it out of your belly button. And
That's weird.
she'll trick him.
It's a joke.
She'll trick him and she'll show us that banana. So we come to America. He'll eat the banana. He'll want more, and I'll give it to him. And he'll say, you see, if Aunt Marina would be with us, you would need to buy those bananas. She would just
Squeeze them out of you.
squeeze it out. And it took us a couple of months to convince him that that was a joke. And then a few months later, my aunt comes to America, and the first thing she does is she said, "Have a banana," and then she'll pretend that she's squeezing it out of his belly button. He looks at us. You see, I told you so.
You know what's crazy? Why me and you are friends? I have a banana story also. You know what would happen? We lived in Crimea, and same situation, except it wasn't
Your uncle used to pull it out of your butt?
No, I wish. It wasn't my aunt, but there was a neighbor, and I guess I was like the cutie pie in the front yard, and she one time gave me a banana, but she gave it to me from the second window. She was like, I got it, but we were like, whatever. There was a conversation because they would talk out of the window into the yard,
Yeah.
and she threw a banana to my mom. She was like, give him a banana. I have a banana, and it was like a luxury.
Yeah.
So every time I would walk outside to the building, I would always yell to the second floor, "Ahí es banana." And I would just constantly yell, "Can I get a banana?" At the
Yeah.
second window.
You only got it once?
I think she threw it down like a couple of times. But my mom was
That's why
like,
they say don't feed the squirrels at the park.
Correct.
This is you.
Exactly.
Banana, please.
Exactly. My mom was so embarrassed. She's like, "Stop yelling for this banana already." She's like,
Yeah, because
"Please."
your mom's embarrassed. Like, I can provide. Like, someone's feeding my
She's
son
like,
bananas.
Jesus Christ, with these bananas. She's like, enough yelling. Oh, see, that's why we're homies. Big banana guys.
Big banana
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
When did you feel like you made it?
I don't know. The first few months were really
The first time
really
they went to Dominican.
tough.
Yeah, like when you went on vacation.
The first vacation we went, I think we rented the bungalow in Catskills.
No,
It
like
was
a real
1992. No, but Kirill, it still was like a grand or something to rent the bungalow for
wow, that's
for a
expensive.
We
summer.
left Russia to go back to Russia in the summers.
In the summer because it was really hot and humid in New York. And we did it in 1992. No, I think maybe we felt like we made it when we got professional jobs.
That felt good
when
already.
we stopped.
Did you
when
spend
we
money on
stopped-
something dumb? Did you buy any? Did you at one point be like, all right, we've been frugal this long. We just got our salaries or whatever. Where did you ever make like I bought myself these sunglasses. Like, I made it. I got the Gucci or I got this or what was your did you ever celebrate with anything?
We celebrated everything, but not necessarily those type of things. I don't think it didn't even matter to me that much that we bought the house. It just, to me, it was logical things because when we were both already started working professionally, it was all in New Jersey, and it was long days. We would leave very early. We had one car, and Dad worked in Belleville area, and I worked Palisades Parkway.
And he
far,
would
and
drop you off?
And he would drive to his work because it was closer, and then I would drive to my work. And I was a newer driver, so it was much slower.
Yeah.
She's
And
a
then I
woman.
was in a lab, and my lab expected me to work 10-hour shift.
Oh, wow.
That means he start sooner. Then I drive like for another hour, and then I start my day 10 hours. He's already done sitting, waiting for me. Then we shifted. He said, I'd rather drop you off and be on the road than just sit in the office and wait for you to come pick me up. So he would drop me off. I start working earlier. I'll do my 10 hours. Meanwhile, he'll get to his job, works 8 hours, picks me up, almost like on time for me to leave. And then we decided after a while, I got another job. I worked in like that for the smaller company. And then I got a job in a real good company, also in New Jersey.
You
And
kept
we decided to move. So for us to move to New Jersey was a logical step. It wasn't really like, oh gosh, we made it.
Right.
And we started looking for rent. And rent was so expensive. We're a family of 5. My parents, my dad was paralyzed after stroke. My mom, Kirill, Alex, and I. And we already wanted to rent something that everybody has more or less decent
Setup.
space.
Yeah.
So we started looking for rent, and rent was as much as
The mortgage.
the mortgage.
Right. Which doesn't make sense. You might as well buy.
So after maybe 6-7 months, we tried to figure out what we're gonna do. We got into the house. Obviously, we started looking closer to New York, but we couldn't afford anything. So we're going further west from New York until the first town where we could afford something, right?
Right.
And for me, it was not, oh my gosh, I'm a homeowner. It never was for me.
Which is
This
crazy
type
because
of
that's the
things.
feeling now for people, right? Because for you, it was just like, or
It
for
made
people at the
sense.
time, everyone did it, right? So it was just like no one was like bragging, "I'm a homeowner." Now
It's impossible
like
to be one.
It's one of the biggest brags you can have.
Yeah.
Is like you own a house. People are like, "Oh, damn, okay."
Yeah, and listen, you're right, absolutely, because my friends, my college friends, two girls, right, I was in from day one through the master program. They moved to America 2 years before us, and another one a year before us, and they all done pretty much same thing. Within 3 years, they were able to settle in somewhat house and provide for their kids a little bit better living than
Right.
we had. So I don't know if I can answer that question. What I think for me was okay. We got professional jobs. We no longer wiping anybody's
Ass.
asses or whatever or mouth, whatever it is.
I get what you're
we
saying.
don't clean somebody else's table, even though we appreciate that we had these
Yes.
opportunities to come and start these jobs, odd jobs, like 3-4 days after.
But you're
coming to
not you're not
America.
the bottom of the barrel, basically.
Yeah, but we got professional jobs. People started to understand, no matter how crooked, we still have crooked English. We could never drop the accent. But people trusted us that we could do professional
And that
job. A
that
lot
is the
of-
best
Crawled
feeling.
out of the
a lot-
mud.
It was a lot of funny things, or not so funny things, but
But that is the
but
best feeling.
that's for us.
Right, and
probably
I
when
would
we
feel that I
figured.
was pretty much shielded from all the, as a kid, all I experienced was the celebrations at home because they did party a lot.
Yeah, we partied
This is a
all the
party
time.
house.
But I think it's a I think
But
And
we
it was
cooked
a cool
everything.
party house because it reminded me of like Hey Arnold, the cartoon, because we were the house that people like stayed with when they needed to get on their feet before they got on their feet in
That's
America.
for
So
sure.
like being a kid, you're like, aunts are here, uncles are here, like living with you. Every dinner is a celebration. It wasn't like a boring American like, okay, everyone eats. Like, Mom, I hate you, and you run upstairs, right?
No, yeah.
It was like
It's a
felt like we were.
celebration,
It's like in the military. You're all like in the trenches together. Like we're eating and we're all trying to
Yeah.
crawl out of this
You're right.
situation.
The day when we came to America was April 1990. A lot of immigrants who were waiting for visa to America to come were let come to America from Italy. We came already directly. Moscow, one stop, Shannon Airport in Ireland, and then JFK. So a lot of immigrants came at the same time. It was very difficult to rent an apartment. So we stayed on people's floor. We slept on people's floor. My uncle at that time was in America for 5 years, but he was renting one-bedroom apartment in that Washington Heights area. And we came 6 of us. And my dad was, like I said already, after stroke, paralyzed. So my uncle had some friends in the area who allowed us to come and sleep on the mattress.
wow.
But the day we moved into our own rental apartment, we moved with a guest. The guy was visiting his son.
Oh wow!
There was a guy from Ukraine. He came to visit his son, and he moved. The day we were moving, actually, we didn't have much. Like someone gave us mattresses, some pillows, whatever. We were on the floors. He moved in with us day one.
Oh wow.
And we always had visitors. Then after a little bit, my aunt and her son came, and they stayed with us. Then a few months later, my other aunt with her daughter and my grandfather came, and they stayed with us. And somebody else came. We always had people.
There was a party. We had
With us.
they got a 2-story apartment in Brooklyn.
We rented. We
In
got
the
lucky.
basement.
It was
With
first
the
floor and a
backyard and the
basement.
driveway,
In a basement.
And they
It
set up a above ground pool.
the cheapest one.
Dude, we
whatever.
had it was like
But that's fun.
and all the photos from the childhood, the film photos are just the back. Everyone is always having a
It's
good
the
time.
best, though. You
It was
see-
the opposite of every typical Russian photo where it's like
No, we had we cooked. My
boring.
mom, we've started working. My mom was taking care of cooking. My sister and I, we did the grocery shopping. We knew we going to supermarket every other week, and we planned what we're gonna buy, and we don't go to the supermarkets in between. Obviously, we lived in a very nice Italian neighborhood in Brooklyn. There were a lot of stores, we would go buy bread, or we can buy milk. It was even cheaper than in supermarket, and we could buy fruit and vegetables. Let's say meat, cold cuts, your condiments, your oils, whatever, butters. We knew whatever we bought, we had to stretch for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And my mom could do wonder with one chicken. It could be pretty much 3-course meal from one chicken, which
That's
will
amazing.
feed a big family.
Yeah.
And so we, like Kirill, I guess my mom and us, we attracted people as well. So we got new friends, or at least acquaintances, really fast.
You guys were social.
And people wanted to come and spend
course,
time with
yeah,
us.
it's a
Right?
good time.
So
We'd like
and
to
we
have a
had
good time.
It's the best.
we had
Buchetski's
great
party.
time.
The
People would
Buchetski's.
come with a guitar, and we would sing songs. And
Kirill's
we
the
would
same way.
eat,
He took that in. He likes to have a nice company. He'll bring people over. Doesn't matter if you're playing ping pong or you're working.
They were
with
doing
them.
the original Summer Fridays in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's honestly, I think that's the way to do it.
We were doing that.
My grandparents were the
true.
same way. They would invite a lot of people, and it would always be like anywhere from 8 to like 16 people, always just eating together on the
Same-
weekends.
It's a good time.
Same situation was in Moscow too. Our doors was pretty much open all the time because my parents had a lot of friends, and people would just come, show up. Somebody wanted cup of coffee, and they just come unannounced and just rings the bell of the apartment in the building. And my dad, who was already staying home after being ill, would open the door and would make coffee for my mom's friends who happened to be in the area. It was all the time, and people would come and stay with us. We had a good apartment, decent size. People would come and stay overnight, few nights.
That's amazing.
Vacations.
It's great.
It was somehow that lifestyle which we had there came with us here, and now with Kirill and Alana's house, I think is also like
I love it.
constantly somebody's
I love
staying.
it. I
We're
love-
lonely people.
I just
We
think
feel safer in numbers.
I just think it's a good time to have, I like when people are around, and I think it just brings the energy up. I feel like it brings your like motivation up. It gives you like more purpose and more reason, and just that ambiance of the
No, I just get. Can you imagine being alone with your thoughts? Like you literally, there's nobody around you to check you.
I love
Right?
being around people. Yeah.
Like Bill Burr talks about, he's like, if there's no one to tell you, man, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like eventually, you'll just start believing everything in your head.
Listen, I love having some rest time for myself, but I do enjoy being around big crowds of people all the time.
Obviously, I do like alone time as well, but I know that alone time will be for whatever certain period of time, and then people will be. I'll be with people, and again, growing at home. My parents never said no to my friends. My classmates could come anytime.
Yeah.
So it was with Kirill. Kirill's friends could come anytime in the apartment and in the house, and it was with Alana. It was just kind of part of our life, because sometimes people say, no, I can't imagine so many people coming.
No, I love it.
Every time. And for us, it's like,
The best.
okay, I'll make my Olivier. Oh my gosh, it's so much work. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Because when you think of it in such a draining term, then yeah, it becomes draining. But if you think of like people being together and
Easy.
everyone's together, and it's great. It's great.
I'd
love
rather
it too.
have people visit than not. So
Same.
I'm just going to be more welcoming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like that
Because
too.
I'm lazy. I don't want to go to you. I'd rather create the environment of warmth, so warm here that people want to come hang out with me. So I, once again, don't have to go do anything else.
Stretch and go out of your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We stretched him yesterday. We went to Orange County to see my college friends. The
Oh, he
first
drove
one-
you guys?
Yeah, he drove us and he stayed with
went
us.
to a
This is my
cemetery.
college. This was my college friend who we know each other since 17.
Oh wow.
And again, that's one of the girls we went from day one of college through master's program.
Oh, wow.
together. So they moved.
So she was there when you were pregnant and everything else.
She was there.
Wow.
Yes.
And then
yeah,
this
absolutely.
little pregnant thing
Absolutely.
drove you to
He was
Orange County.
he was the first one. We were like a group of 5 girls, and he was the first born.
Wow. The interrupter.
I'm the interrupter.
Yeah.
I've been not interrupting
Yeah.
Oh
As
no,
much.
you've been great.
for the review.
You've been great. Yeah, I honestly, some of the stuff reminds me of like just how we immigrated and all the stuff when I was growing up. It's cool. It sucks that now. I hope that I can provide that for my kids.
You're not gonna. You're not. That what you need to do is everyone needs to immigrate. Everyone needs to immigrate once in their life. It's just like just for perspective.
You guys moved from New York to LA.
That's not the same thing,
your.
right?
It's of course
No,
it's
not the best
it's completely
immigration.
That's
different,
there was
but
no
it's
real
still
struggle
a change.
there, Mark.
Yeah.
They still speak English
The
here.
only struggle is just people
Yes.
here speak slower and understand things slower. That's the only struggle. But
Yeah, don't worry about what you're gonna give your kids. Whether you'll be able to give this, if not that, you'll give something else. Just make sure you go for it.
Don't do it. Bro.
I'm doing it.
Don't do it.
I'm doing it. Just
There
not
is
now,
no
but I'm
right
doing
or wrong time. For example, I have 2 kids, but they're 12 years apart. It's like having one child 2 times.
You had one
right?
at 34, right? Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had Kirill when we were young. We didn't have anything, but we had a lot of energy. We were pretty much kids ourselves, 22, 23.
Yeah.
Right? And Alana is saying, oh, guys, you're not as energetic with me as you were with Kirill, which is true. What Alana got, obviously, a lot of more financial
And
opportunities.
leniency. I broke them in. They were a lot less strict. I hope.
Listen.
Yeah,
The strictness always.
she said that you made us open-minded, which is true.
Yeah, I did.
She said that no matter what she does, we're already prepared for, which I always say, please give us some boredom. Don't challenge us all the time.
Don't
test
challenge us
our
too much.
open-mindedness.
I
We
still-
are open-minded.
Yeah.
That's for sure. We out of box.
What was-
think.
can I
But we
tell-
were not always like that.
Can I ask you something? Since you guys were not always like that, what was one of the first things he did in his like photography career, or the things that he was kind of pursuing that kind of threw you guys for a little bit of a curveball?
What was for me when he started going to comedy clubs.
You started not liking that, right?
I was worried. I really like comedy, right? But the materials that they were presenting at that time,
Cynical.
it was cynical. The relationship, women, men. I was worried that he will live by these
theories,
jokes,
these theories,
things, right? Because one can joke, it's exaggerated, and we laugh, and we do laugh,
But
right?
some take it for seriousness.
We don't live that way,
Right.
for example, right? And my worry was that there wouldn't be any respect toward women in his life.
Which some would still argue.
No, I seen your relationship
Pretty nice
from
guy,
my
honestly.
angle. Of course, I understand. I'm not delusional.
pour milk on
I
girls'
know,
heads.
I know. I didn't see and observe everything, but what I observed and what I've heard from you, in some sense, I was
He's a good politician.
surprised. He's good, period.
Yeah, he is, he is.
He is good. When he was telling me that,
He asked them
Mom,
nicely.
I'm worried about her. What is she doing when I'm doing? Not in terms of that she's like doing
Right.
something wrong, but how she feels.
How she feels,
Is she
yeah.
hungry? Is she tired? Is she that? Is she,
He's
like
caring. He's a caring guy.
Absolutely.
He's like, if I pour the milk, can I do it like
That's
all
why
at once? or can I just
that's
do a
why
little-
I don't
So-
want. That's why kids don't sound appealing to me, because I don't want to love something that much, because then it will hurt me.
But you don't think you're being a wuss about
I
it?
know myself that it would
You'll
be the
give-
first thing, and I've loved, right? I've already loved, and it hurts, right? So like to be like, I will never experience that kind of love yet until I have my own kid. Yeah, it's just gonna make
Yeah,
me
but I
sad.
think that kind of love gives you more energy and more
Absolutely.
life. I think it's not. I think you're afraid of that love in the sense of like, yeah, this might hurt. This is going to be emotional. This is going to be stressful. But I think that love gives you a second life. It's like,
Right,
you
but
know
my
what I'm
mom,
trying to
but
say?
look, my mom was worried that I would grow up and become a pile of shit from stand-up comedy. Might make me, if I took to heart what the misogynistic jokes were, instead of me understanding they were jokes, understanding there was humor, and being like, this is interesting, I want to go hang out with comedians. But I could have also misinterpreted it and sexually assaulted a woman, right? And then my mom has to deal with the fact that her adult son is now...
But why do you focus on the could have?
because there's so much more bad that can happen than good.
But it didn't happen.
Well, yeah, because I'm a great person, but
Yeah.
I
But
don't think I can make a great person.
I get what you're saying.
But I was worried. But it worried me because we laughed. He laughed
Yeah.
at certain things, and I was worried that it gives him, okay, this is how I'm going to be in life.
Yeah,
That's
but if I
probably the
was
only
so if I
thing.
was
so
a,
after
That's
the
probably-
comedy club, so then after you saw that he was kind of still being a silly Kirill and he was still caring, he was a nice guy. Once you saw that he was already kind of like broken into the shell of the comedy clubs, what was the next thing that kind of started getting you a little bit like, whoa, okay, now the comedy clubs, now this, like, because obviously after the comedy clubs he started pursuing the photography to
yeah.
the full extent.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, when it was nightlife photography and the things I've seen is a footage. Maybe I went once, right, to the
You went to
actual
a party.
club. I went to a party, which you threw for me, and I observed certain things.
And you saw the
there.
debauchery and kind of like
And
the...
at first, it was like not shocking necessarily to me, but something aha moment. But then I thought about it differently. Maybe it was the way of
how we perceive it because of how we were raised.
but I didn't judge nothing. No, I was maybe it was a way for me not to protect myself, but to say, okay, it's not a big deal, because I think, okay, this is adult people, right? It's a nightclub, so everybody in theory, I don't know.
In theory gets
in
checked.
theory, 21.
Right.
In theory, made the decision, made the choice to
there.
come
Right.
and be there and behave certain way. I've read the kind.
personal
I've read
responsibility.
exactly personal responsibility. I wasn't putting it on Kirill.
Kirill, right.
Absolutely. If he lured and he was making them do things, it still was their decision to say
follow.
yes or no, do it or not do
Right.
it. So after a very short time, first I'll be, oh gosh, these people are doing crazy things, and Kirill is in the middle of that. But I got over, honestly, real quickly over that. I said personal responsibility is a big thing for me in life anyway.
It's true.
So I feel myself, hold myself responsible, and I hold other people responsible. So
Were you worried about other people, what they would say that are in your life?
no, because by that time, our circle of people were people we trust and people trust us. And if it would be somebody who would be
like at work.
judgmental,
On the outside of the circle, it wouldn't matter.
it wouldn't matter. But even at work, they knew you. You were coming for every take your child to work day. You were drawing
imagine?
pictures
You're
of
such a
Aladdin.
little nerd.
He's drawing where in all the cubicles in my work. So if somebody heard that something happened at the W Hotel, and next day it was on the
Like a punch in
radio,
the face. Oh, yeah, the
on
Hoboken.
Hoboken, yeah, on the radio, I got calls or text messages or emails from my colleagues who knew him since he was 9. Because
So
that's
they
the time
knew, yeah.
he knew him, they knew me. It did not have any reflection.
Of course, because they said that
On
this
us.
is a good kid just doing fun stuff, and if people
And a lot
choose
of-
to be themselves, that's on them.
A lot of people came to me and said, we respect. He found himself. He built himself. He
Yeah,
made
he did.
himself.
He did build
We
himself.
haven't.
That's what they say about
we
trans
could
people.
we could only support certain ways, but he's done it. He've done it all, and people were
trans one is killer.
respecting that. And
Yes,
it
you're right.
It stopped mattering for me like long. Maybe I'm not going and I'm not advertising, right? Or if somebody says something of what your son does, and I could say, if you look him up, make sure your kids are not around, right? Maybe I can say those things even now. But otherwise, nowadays, I don't really...
Have there
care.
been any family fights where somebody said something and you were being protective about him? Like I don't care. Like you.
Kirill?
Yeah.
Everybody adores him. It was the first thing when
That's
people-
amazing.
Everybody adores him, period, no matter what he does. When we used to have Kirill was saying, a lot of parties in our house, and when he moved out, and let's say people come, my relatives or friends come, the first question, they adjusted the doorway, right? I just opened the door. The first question, is Kirill here? Is he going to be here?
Kirill
That's
was
all.
here.
Kirill was here.
Kirill was here. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters.
You see?
I didn't have to. Nobody said, "Oh, you know what he's doing." So
Dude,
nobody.
we're
That's
all
great.
immigrants. It's like the problems in the
Nobody.
world are
But see,
so
my
much
family acted
crazier
different
than
towards
like
that.
than like everyone. I think was just like, dude, we grew up with dirty jokes and humor, so all of this was just like, oh, okay. I don't know.
But it's good because you it's good.
I felt supported in everything.
That's great. See,
There was
I never
definitely
had that.
like, but there was like we said with the art portfolio, or when I wanted to do film and video, they helped me. They bought my first video camera for me, but it came with a lot of rules, right? They're like, we can help you, but you can't just like buy this and then leave it in the closet and then never play with it again
Yeah, you
because
better
it's a
use it.
flavor. Yeah, you better,
We're spending a lot of money on this.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I
It's-
still remember that correspondence, that letter you wrote to us about that camera, and I was looking for it the other day and in my like archived emails. But no, listen. In a
beautiful.
family,
Dude, I got kicked out of
in
college.
a family, that was shock. That
was
really-
hilarious. Though.
That was
Getting the scholarships back
3 times,
3 times.
full
I
scholarship.
had to lie. I killed every family member in my family every semester to not go to class, right? You'd just be like, oh, my grandma died, my uncle died. I never went to class. I hated school. I never really liked
I wasn't a big fan of school also.
But in public school, you had to go. In college, no one could. It was like there was no
You're
one
a grown
really.
adult. Nobody can force you to do
no one
anything.
could force you. So I just stopped going to class because I was also maybe not challenged. There was classes I took that I liked, but then there's other classes I was like, why am I taking?
I felt really bad that I was skipping college, not because of the college itself, but because my mom or my dad would contribute a little bit of money here and there,
See,
and I failed them because of the money.
I was
very upset about that.
I was lucky. I picked the one school that gave me a free ride. So they had nothing on the line. I had nothing on the line. So I couldn't feel like I was blowing their cash.
Yeah, that was not
right.
cool.
But
It wasn't a lot, but it was a couple thousand here and there. Back then, to them, it was still a lot because we just got here. But it's good that you got the scholarship.
I got that scholarship. I lost it. Then they put me on probation. I promised to get my grades up. So they gave it back. Then I didn't get my grades up. So they took it away. But I had a great excuse. Because that was my problem. It was like I was just.
You wanted to see how far you could push
I was more of a doer I'd like to learn by working, not by like someone being like, this is how this works, right? I'd rather just get my hands dirty. At the time, I was hanging out with comedians too, and we were filming this documentary and the stand-up show at the Comedy Cellar. A bunch of comedians, and it was going to be edited, put on a DVD, and then like 5,000 copies were going to be delivered to the troops in Iraq by like a bunch of comedians. And I helped film it. I edited it. I did all the graphic
Cover?
design. I did all the menus. I did so much shit for it because I loved it. And we shipped it out. It went overseas with like Colin Quinn, Dane Cook, Bill Burr. All these people were on it. And I literally, with my last plea to get my scholarship back, I didn't want it back. I really didn't. I was done with school, but I had to do everything possible because my mom wanted me to stay in school.
To finish it,
So
yeah.
I was like, all
She
right.
did- she
So I was
wanted you
like,
to have a backup.
the only way I can get this scholarship back is like, I'm going to go to the dean of the art department, which they already said no. They're like, we don't want this kid. Like the teachers didn't love me because I just disrespected, the institution. So I showed up with this DVD, and he literally looks at me and he goes, this is way more important than this college. You got your scholarship back.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were like,
That's
we laughed
beast.
about it. We were like, Jesus Christ.
But you see,
to
but at
them,
least
they were
he's-
like, this is the most embarrassing education system we've
But
ever heard
no,
of.
but you know what? It's not embarrassing. You know why? Because the dean is actually coherent
That-
enough
I do
to
respect the
understand.
dean
I
for that.
respect him because he realized he's like, whatever program and whatever we're giving him is never going to promise a kid like this to land in front of big comedians to be able to film such a project. So the fact that this kid figured out a way without school to get himself into this place to record these top-selling comedians and to be able to publish something like that is way more of an achievement than publishing a few papers that will never
Yeah.
get them through those doors.
So the problem
You know?
is he proved to me that I was right. I proved to them I was right.
Yeah,
Essentially
yeah,
by being
you
like,
did.
this is all full of shit. Like, clearly, what's the point of going to school if
School
he
is full of
overwrote
shit when it
all
comes
that
to that.
school
Yeah.
with something that I did practically? So then the next semester, I lost my scholarship again because I didn't go to school.
And
Because
you
I
were
was
right.
like, yeah. And then I just moved out. I moved in with a comedian, and then our relationship instantly changed from enemies to friends.
Not enemies.
Not enemies, but it was,
yeah,
it was definitely stressful.
Still
because
was pressures from both ends. Like for us, stress of realizing that he's not going to college, and for him was pressure of us pressuring him to continue. He worked on me. He said, "Mom, in this grand scheme of life, if I graduate half a year later, it won't matter." And I bit into that, and he kind of
He was
said,
always good at negotiating.
I'll go back, and then a year later nothing, and 2 years later nothing. It took, of course, some time for me to realize, okay, that's it. There is no more
But where
degree.
But I had a
again,
2-year
I don't-
advantage on all my
Yeah.
classmates
No,
because
no,
I
I
was
didn't-
already in the fields. I was already working. I was
You're
doing
putting the
graphic
experience,
design.
yeah.
Kirusha, let me tell you, when you went to this college, you already had at least semester, if not 2, of credits, because in high school you were taking college classes, so you went already with almost 1 year worth of
Ahead of.
credits.
Yeah.
And he was good, and he could do anything. Like he picked this art, but he was equally as talented in math. Like calculus AP, 98 average, until they started checking homework.
Bro,
Because he
I
was
was so pissed off with the
easy
school
for him.
system.
It was easy
I had a
for him.
98 in AP Calculus in high school, which is a college level class.
Yeah.
Everyone else around me failing, so the teachers like to change everyone's grades. I'm going to start grading homework
Because you clearly weren't doing it.
I was like, I don't need the homework. I'm acing
You're-
all the tests.
Right. Who cares about the homework?
Next semester, 24. My grade.
I thought it was a typer. I was a typer. Something didn't type right when I received the when I
She's like,
received
you had a 98 and now you have a 24. I was like,
and I went to school because for me it was also new that nobody warned me of such drastic change.
Right.
And I come and they say technically he already met graduation requirements. It's his choice. He can stay in this class or he can drop this class. He already met math graduation requirement, but I said, but he signed up for it, and technically he's in the class, and he was on top of the class, and nobody told me that he's not there anymore. To me, it was really shocking.
Yeah, how do you go from 98 to 24 and
no
not call
teachers
someone's
gave
parent?
me a call or something,
Or tell
indication.
him, or just say the curriculum
Indication.
changed and we're grading the homework now.
Yeah,
How
indication.
come he's not
yeah.
doing
or
it?
just bend the
Indication.
rule. If you bent the rules for everyone to hurt me, then just bend the rules for only me. Be like, Kirill, you don't need to do the homework. You're getting good. If your grade goes below a 94, we're going to collect homework. But they should have let me sit at 98.
Right, but no,
I
I
should have
mean,
taught the class.
again, that was not even a point about the school. It was like you could do anything, but we knew at the same time that we could not force him to go to like us engineering or science or
Yeah,
medical
you walked so
or
I could run.
anything. Right.
Why
So
would I
that-
want to do what you guys did?
Exactly.
Right, so can you imagine what you could do for your kid?
My kid's going to have purple hair and be like, I
No,
want to
shut up.
just like
We
sell
lived through this.
butterflies.
Your
We
kid's gonna
lo-
go,
Yeah, my kid's gonna be literally like, oh
What
my
does
god,
this
like
say?
soft as dog shit. My child will be,
Yeah.
stop.
because it'll be so much
Stop.
more like worse. We're only getting worse. I'm gonna pee my pants. Can
It's
we-
like
And
they
I'm
say
hungry.
what they say, and maybe we'll end on it. I don't know.
And
Immigrants, right? We are the farmers, raising our working hard, so our kids could be the lawyers, so their kids could be the artists. And you don't mean to take it literally, farmer and a lawyer, right? So we go and we start from nothing. You could have an opportunity to become somebody better than us, and then your kids could have complete third generation.
And once
could
the
have
kids become artists,
completely
we have wars.
freedom of whatever they want to do, because we already built some foundation. Because
Yeah.
we were playing catch up. Like,
Right.
and then when you catch up, yeah, maybe don't have kids.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
no, please don't take it
I'm
that
joking,
way.
I'm
Don't
joking.
take it that way.
I'm joking, trust
Yeah,
me.
so yeah.
But-
no, your kids would be fine.
It was amazing to have you here.
Yeah,
I'll be
thanks
honest.
for being
and
here,
thank
Mom.
you for telling these good stories. And hopefully, people watch this that might have kids in the future, and you guys can understand that you
You
need
might
to raise
want-
your kids with a little couple of slaps here and there, and
You get a
obviously
boy
give them
genius.
hugs also and kisses on the head, but a couple of slaps never hurt nobody, because then you have a beautiful artiste like this. and
I'm gonna pee my pants.
he's gonna pee his pants. Can you clap us
Okay.
out on the thing?
Clap us out.
Oh,
Oh my God, I'm gonna pee.
thank you guys.